Okay, so if you've been around sim racing for a while, sometimes a new season, just brings a few little tweaks here and there, maybe new car. But
Yeah.
iRacing 2025 Season 2, this is, this is massive.
Wow.
They haven't just updated, they've enhanced so much of iRacing. We're talking like 3 completely new cars, hitting the virtual asphalt, a track that I know so many people have been wanting. Is finally coming, and just a bunch of really interesting under-the-hood changes that could really impact the whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, the official iRacing 2025 Season 2 release notes are
That's huge.
are extensive, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's arriving on March 18th, and it really does touch on every aspect of the simulation.
Yeah.
It's exciting. So whether you're into ovals, road courses, or somewhere in between, there's something here for everyone.
Absolutely, and trying to get through all of this stuff can be a little overwhelming. There's just so much there, so
For sure.
that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try to extract what's most important and most interesting so that you can have a better understanding of how Season 2 is going to affect your sim racing.
Yeah.
Think of it as your guide to understanding everything that's new and why it matters.
Say it like that.
All right, let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
New cars.
Yeah, 3 brand new race cars,
3.
all representing the RCA Menards series.
Nice.
Yep, you'll now have the chance to get behind the wheel of the RCA Chevrolet SS, the RCA Ford Mustang, and the RCA Toyota Camry.
For those of you who are maybe newer to stock car racing, RSCA is a really important series, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of the final step before you get into the NASCAR National Series. And their schedule is really diverse, too.
Okay.
You've got those short ovals, mile-and-a-half speedways, and even super speedways like Daytona.
Oh, wow.
Doing well in those RCA races, especially that season opener at Daytona, has always been a really good indicator of drivers who are going to go on to do great things in NASCAR,
Okay.
like in the Daytona 500.
Makes sense. So it shows they can handle that kind of racing.
Exactly.
It's not just generic stock cars either. These are very specific models.
Yeah.
And they all have a place within the RSCA series.
Right. So the Chevrolet SS has been an RCA for a while now.
Yeah.
Really popular,
Yeah.
proven chassis for a lot of the teams. Last year, in 2024, we saw Andres Perez de Lara and LeVar Scott, both driving Chevrolets for Rev Racing, do really well in the National RCA Championship.
Wow.
And then on the Ford side, the Mustang is newer.
Okay.
It debuted in RCA in 2022, replacing the Fusion, but it's quickly become one of the cars to beat.
All right.
And then there's Toyota, the Camry.
Uh-huh.
It's been dominant in RCA for years. Teams like Venturini Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing have had so much success with it.
Yeah.
And some big names have won championships in the Camry, like Ty Gibbs, who's racing in the Cup Series now, and Jesse Love, who's tearing it up in the Xfinity Series.
So these are the cars that the future of NASCAR are racing in right now.
Exactly. You're basically getting into the same cars that are helping to develop the next generation of NASCAR talent.
It really adds to the whole, the immersion of it all
Yeah.
when you know that. Okay, so let's move on now to the Legends Ford 34 Coupe.
Okay.
And this has gotten like a head-to-toe makeover. The release notes say stem-to-stern performance and physics overhaul.
Yeah.
So it sounds like this is more than just a small update.
Oh, yeah. This is like they rebuilt this car from the ground up.
Oh, wow.
Like how it performs and the whole physics model within the sim. They've really looked at everything. They've got new data, new simulation techniques, and they've really tried to capture what it's like to drive one of these hot rods in real life.
So they're not just making it faster or anything like that. It's more about making it feel real.
Exactly. They want it to be as close to the real thing as possible.
Okay.
And it's not just about performance and physics either.
Right.
They've also given it some visual updates, so it looks even better, and they've completely redone the sound.
Wow.
So it should sound amazing.
So it looks better, it sounds better, and it feels better to drive.
That's the idea.
Nice. And the notes even get into the specifics of what they changed.
Oh, and they did.
Aerodynamic properties, suspension behavior, brake performance, tire parameters, even the adjustment ranges in the garage.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to have the biggest impact for drivers?
Probably those aerodynamic changes and the suspension.
Okay.
Those are going to have a huge impact on how it handles, especially at higher speeds. And the tire parameters, too.
Yeah.
The grip levels and how the tires wear down can change your whole race strategy.
Right.
And the bigger adjustment ranges in the garage means you can really fine-tune the car to your driving style and the track. But here's the really big one. The Legends Ford 34 Coupe can now use rain tires at all the sports car tracks.
Wait, really? Rain tires on the Legends Coupe? That's That's awesome.
Right. It adds a whole new element to racing these cars, especially in those multi-class races
Yeah.
where you're up against cars that are designed for the wet. And with all these upgrades, they've decided to retire the rookie version of the car.
I guess it's not really needed anymore.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on now to a brand new track. Cortland International Raceway. This is a big one. A lot of people have been asking for this.
Definitely. Portland International Raceway is an awesome addition to iRacing.
Yes.
It's a major track up in the Pacific Northwest, and it's got history, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it opened back in 1961, and it's hosted pretty much every big racing series in North America, Trans Am, kart, IndyCar, and it still hosts big events today. IndyCar, NASCAR Xfinity, RCA, Trans Am. It's a track with a lot of racing history.
For those who haven't raced there before, what's it like?
So it's a 12-turn road course, just under 2 miles long. It's got a really long front straightaway.
Okay.
And then you go into this tight chicane, the Shelton chicane. It's a sharp right-hander where things can get a little crazy, especially at the start and on restarts.
Gotcha.
Another cool thing about the track is that the surface is a mix of asphalt and concrete.
Really?
Yeah, so the grip levels change as you go around the lap. Makes it tricky for drivers.
That's really neat.
And good news, for those who like to race against the AI, Portland is fully AI-enabled.
Oh, nice. Even with the chicane.
Yeah, they have both the full configuration and the one that bypasses the chicane.
That's great. Speaking of familiar tracks getting some updates, 7 NASCAR ovals are getting visual overhauls.
It's a huge update for those tracks. We're talking Bristol, Darlington, Dover, Homestead, Miami, Iowa, Kansas, and Las Vegas.
Wow.
The art team has been busy. They've updated the grandstands, the objects around the track, the scenery, the trees, the textures, the lighting. They basically brought these tracks up to iRacing's current standards.
So they should look a lot more modern now.
Yeah, much more realistic and immersive.
That's awesome.
And it's not just cosmetic either. For Bristol, Homestead, Miami, and Kansas, they've even redone the track surface bump map. That's the texture that defines all the little bumps and imperfections in the track surface.
Wow.
So it affects how your car handles. It's all about making these tracks as real as possible. Oh, one thing to mention about Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Only the oval got the full art overhaul for now.
Oh, okay. Good to know. That level of detail is really impressive. It shows they care about keeping even the older content fresh. All right, let's move on to something a little more technical. 3D curbs. 6 more tracks are getting them. Can you remind us again why 3D curbs matter so much in a sim?
Yeah, so with 3D curbs, instead of them just being a texture on the track, they're actual objects that your car interacts with.
Right.
So you can use them to your advantage, like running a little wide to straighten out a corner, but you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
If you hit them wrong, you can really mess up your car's balance or even spin out.
So they add a whole new layer of strategy and car control.
Exactly.
And the tracks getting the 3D curves are Circuito de Jerez, Kansas, Motorland, Aragon, Redskogan, Sandown, although it looks like just one curve there, and Winton. Okay, let's get into those under-the-hood changes.
Okay.
The stuff that makes iRacing tick. And they've completely redesigned the official series racing section.
Yeah, it's a big change for anyone who races in the official series. It's got a new full-page layout, the menus are reorganized, and there's a ton of new data. They have 5 tabs. Go Racing, where you can find active sessions, schedule for upcoming races, results for past race outcomes, standings for championship points, and series insights, which gives you more in-depth data about each series.
So it's like a one-stop shop for all the official races.
Pretty much. You can get all the info you need right there, all in one place.
I like that. Makes it a lot easier to find what you're looking for. Okay, now on to something that I'm sure people are going to be talking about. The connectivity black flag. This is all about making racing more fair and stable, right?
Right. This new system keeps an eye on everyone's connection to the server during the race.
Okay.
And if it sees that someone's connection is really unstable and it's affecting other drivers, they might get hit with this connectivity black flag.
So what happens if you get this black flag?
So basically, your car gets teleported to your pit box and you have to wait there for a certain amount of time. And while you're there, your car is a ghost.
A ghost.
Yeah. You don't affect other cars, you can't score points, and you can't move. You're just stuck there until your connection stabilizes. And once it's stable, the black flag goes away and you can rejoin the race.
So it's not just about having a high ping. It's about how stable your connection is.
Exactly. They're not trying to punish people who have a consistently high ping.
Yeah.
It's more about people whose connection is going up and down all the time, causing lag for everyone else.
Right.
But They're going to be careful with this at first.
Okay.
They're only using it in a few official series to start with.
Okay.
They want to make sure it's working properly before they roll it out to everyone.
That makes sense.
Hmm?
All right, next we have something called local course debris cautions. This is a new kind of yellow flag just for road courses. How's this going to work?
So basically, when the system sees that there's a lot of debris on the track in one spot, everyone will see this informational yellow flag.
Okay.
But here's the thing. It's just informational. It doesn't stop the race or anything. It's just letting drivers know to be careful in that area. And after a lap or so, if there's not more debris, the flag goes away.
So it's like a heads up, but it doesn't interrupt the race.
Exactly. It's a balance between safety and keeping the race going. They've also recalibrated how much debris is created in the first place.
Okay.
So hopefully there won't be as many of these debris cautions.
That sounds good.
Good.
All right, let's talk about something that's going to make iRacing look even better. The lighting system overhaul.
Yeah, this is a big one. They've completely rebuilt the lighting system.
Wow.
So now they're using image-based lighting. Think of it like they're using actual photographs of the environment
Oh, wow.
to determine how light reflects off everything.
Okay.
And sunlight is treated differently now, too. It changes more realistically based on the time of day and weather. It's more like real life. They've also implemented something called physically based rendering, which means surfaces will look much more realistic.
That's amazing. So everything in the sim should look and feel more real.
That's the goal. But this was a huge project for the developers.
Yeah.
They had to rebalance all the track materials to work with this new system. So there's going to be a big download for this update.
Okay.
And it sounds like this is just the beginning. They're working towards a whole new graphics engine for iRacing.
Oh, that's really exciting. Okay, let's talk about some specific car updates. The GTP cars and the LMP2 tires have both been improved.
Right. These are improvements based on the changes they made last season in Season 1.
Okay.
And they focused mostly on the tire heat modeling, especially for longer races. They want the tires to behave realistically over a whole race distance.
Makes sense.
They also increased the power output for the GTP cars to 500 kilowatts.
So drivers in those series are going to have to really think about their tire management now.
Definitely.
And the Ray FF600 is getting a new suspension model.
Yep, they've given it a 4-bar linkage model.
Okay.
It's way more accurate. It simulates how the suspension works at all 4 wheels, so it's a lot more realistic. And it sounds like they're going to be doing this for other cars in the future, too.
Okay.
They also made some smaller tweaks to the tires, handling, engine braking, and the startup RPM.
All right. So it sounds like a pretty comprehensive update for the Ray. We mentioned it earlier, but I think it's worth saying again. The Legends Ford 34 Coupe can now use rain tires on sports car tracks.
Yeah, that's a big change. It's a separate compound, so you have to choose it in the garage setup.
Okay. And lastly, let's talk about the AI. It sounds like they've gotten a lot smarter.
Yeah, it's like they went to AI school over the winter. They're now racing the Dallara IR01. They're racing on Portland. They've learned all the new layouts at Daytona and Mid-Ohio.
Nice.
And they even got better at driving in the wet.
That's cool. What else did they learn?
Oh, all sorts of things. They're better at exiting the pits, getting into their starting stalls, driving during parade laps, even cornering during pace laps. It's the little things that make a difference. They're just better all-around racers now. They've gotten better with a bunch of cars: GT4, GTP, LMP2, LMH, Formula V, Legends, Ray. And their wet weather skills are much better, too. They've also adapted to all those updated NASCAR tracks with the safer barriers.
It sounds like the AI is going to be a lot more fun to race against now. We also saw that the paint shop got some new sponsors and that all the car setups have been recalibrated.
Yeah. There are a bunch of new sponsor logos in the paint shop, so you can make your car look even cooler.
Nice.
And with all the physics and tire changes, the vehicle dynamics team went through and updated hundreds of car setups.
Wow, that's dedication. And a few other things worth mentioning quickly. The sporting code got some updates. The auto fuel logic is better. There are some improvements to the spotter and crew chief messages.
Yeah.
They made some improvements to how the sim uses graphics memory. The night lighting on water looks better. And the legacy RSCA Menards Souffle has been retired from official events.
Yeah.
They're giving credits back to people who recently bought it.
Uh-huh.
But the Gen 4 Cup car is still available.
It's the little details.
Yeah, all those little details add up. So to sum all of this up for you,
Okay.
we've got 3 new RCA cars, a completely revamped Legends Coupe that can race in the rain.
Wow.
Portland International Raceway is finally here.
I know.
7 classic NASCAR ovals got visual makeovers.
Yeah.
And there are a ton of changes under the hood, like the new connection monitoring system and that new lighting engine. They're really pushing the boundaries of realism and trying to make iRacing the best it can be.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, these aren't just little additions. They're
Yeah.
really investing in the future of iRacing.
So here's what we want you to do.
Okay.
When Season 2 launches on March 18th, go check out the full release notes. There's even more detail there than we talked about. But more importantly, go try out all this new stuff for yourself. Drive those RSCA cars. Race around Portland. See how the updated cars feel.
Yeah, see how the AI does too.
Experiment with the new setups. Really get a feel for everything that's new.
Exactly.
And here's something to think about. All of these updates, the new content, the new technology, how do you think it's going to change iRacing in Season 2 and beyond? It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into iRacing 2025 Season 2.
It's going to be a good one.
I think so.